So for this future stuff, I think we're gonna have some little more positive news, some like heartwarming news. It might be a little cringe for some people. I just want to let people know it might be a little bit cringe story, but it's also like powerful news that no matter what happens to you, you can recover in the future. Looks pretty cool if this can happen. So the first thing we're gonna do is talk about is just like the COVID testing. Here in Black Power Magic Hour, we showed a segment I think a couple of days ago how in Britain they detected the more kind of the E484 strain of the virus. So they sent a whole bunch of volunteers door to door to send people kind of home testing stuff. And I want to give people kind of like a sneak preview of what a COVID home test may look like if you go to the door. Hopefully, we live in a cool world when like you get your COVID test at home, you can take it, and then like if you get it or not, you can stay home and get your snacks, whatever. But that's the ideal world. So we
Testing
want to show
remains
this
one of
clip.
the key tools in controlling coronavirus. Doctors at Emory and Children's Healthcare of Atlanta say a newly approved at-home rapid test could have a major impact on stopping the spread. Joe Ripley explains how the test works.
Dr. Wilbur Lamb with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta calls the innovation of at-home rapid tests, quote, groundbreaking, especially during a slow vaccine rollout.
Testing will always be important, especially for policy.
The FDA gave emergency use authorization for Ellume, the first over-the-counter, fully at-home diagnostic test for COVID-19 back in December. The development of the at-home rapid test took months, and more at-home tests are going through the FDA approval process now. Here's how it works. The test detects fragments of proteins of the novel coronavirus from a self-nasal swab sample from any person 2 years old and older. The test can send results to a smartphone within 15 to 20 minutes of receiving a sample. And results from a U.S. clinical study,
My
the
phone was
Ellume
mad dead.
COVID-19
It
home
was
test
iPhone 4,
correctly
but
identified 96% of positive samples and 100% of negative samples in individuals with symptoms. In people without symptoms, the test correctly identified 91% of positive samples, 96% of negative samples. The Department of Defense recently did a $232 million deal with Ellume to buy about 8 million tests. Lamb says this at-home rapid test will form part of the solution to reopening by combating asymptomatic spread of COVID-19.
A lot of people are trying to figure this out, and there's many stakeholders, as you can imagine, not just the communities, but businesses, schools. There's a lot of people at the table.
Production on the test is still ramping up, but the plan is to have these tests sold in drugstores, no prescription necessary, over the next several months.
so that's some exciting news. I guess I don't know if you guys think it's exciting, but the idea that the proliferation of COVID testing that could happen as well, because it's not just the vaccine. It's like especially if the virus is going to be mutating to God knows what in the next few months. So testing is even more important than it always been. So the idea to make it even more easier for people, you don't have to like go to some testing site and coronavirus at the testing site. You now you can actually like get it at home and I guess the positive and negative rates seem to be cool 91, 96 without symptoms. That's not bad. Unless you're at that 9%, that's wrong. That's gonna suck. So
Well, I mean, I could definitely see what you mean there. I'm not excited whatsoever. I just look at this as like one of those necessary evils and the monetization of said necessary evil.
oh yeah.
This is a world that we live in, and as much as my cognitive dissonance doesn't really want to honor the fact that this is the world that we live in.
That's the Department of Defense got a whole bunch of tests for themselves before teachers and stuff like that. That already happened already.
Yeah, that happened already.
Yes. so
But I just I'm indifferent about a lot of it. I just wish that this was taken seriously when the doctors were first reporting the Rona in November 2019. And it would have been taken seriously then, and we wouldn't be living in this fucked up world right now. Like, if you could, wake me up tomorrow in the last, 13 months, just went the other way, I'd be excited then. Yeah. But I'm not really like oh yeah, I can go buy some coronavirus tests.
Mhm. But that's the thing. I mean,
Whatever.
that's the thing. Like, we live in a country. You have to. It's not like, oh, is this gonna be like a free rollout for the federal government, just mailing them willy nilly, like they do in like kind of like South Korea? That's what they do in South Korea. It's like, oh, you don't have to worry about paying for it. If it shows up at your house, you don't have to worry about paying for it. Here in the United States, something shows up at your house, you worry you're gonna get a bill from your healthcare
Mhm.
insurance provider for some reason
Yep.
about it. You know, so
And the thing is, it's
you know,
in every business, as you can see, with the economy pretty much shut down, except for the wealthy people. Their economy is actually up.
yeah,
It's in the business owner's best interest for everybody to be able to get back to regular life. So that does seem like one of those things that, you know, we should like stop commoditizing and let's just take a break from that. And I've been saying it from the beginning, take a break from everything that you know about the economy and just do what's necessary in the here and now, and then get back to the rat race. But they
mhm.
keep trying to add the rat race to this. And I think that is making it harder to get over it.
And that's what's confusing about it. Is like we have like here in New York City, where we've been reporting here at Black Power Magic out the fact that some reason Cuomo wants to open restaurants up for Valentine's Day, even though we have like an 8% infection rate, which is like not good. So like and then the fact that he didn't want to give restaurant workers the vaccine until Bill de Blasio called him out, and then finally he changed his mind and finally give delivery workers and restaurant workers, people who have been working the whole time like there wasn't no pandemic. So you have all these kind of weird inequalities happening in real time that politicians are setting in line in real time. Cuomo set that in line in real time. He made it that restaurant workers wouldn't get vaccines, and then wanted them to go back to work indoors and serve whatever asshole is going to show up on Valentine's Day. So that's who you are at this point. If you're going to eat at a restaurant with an 8% infection rate, like, you know, that's crazy. Like, you might as well just go play some Russian roulette or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty much what you're doing.
So, especially with a new variant that allegedly is 50% more transmittable than the last strain of the virus. So that even makes even more. Please don't eat. And we showed you in that makes it even more interesting. So you saw those old kind of military camera stuff we showed. All that stuff was based on studies of the last strain. So we don't even know what the new strains even do, because those studies haven't happened yet. We're looking at studies of the last strain that happened 6 months ago, a year ago. So like the rush and open things up, and then at the same time can modify things and like tell people to go back to work. I totally get it. This is just so confusing. And so that's where you have people, you know, robbing Roscoe's for chicken and waffles.
Oh shit, yo. It's not me saying that. It's not me.
I was protecting the identity of the people who work there. People who work at Wasco's probably don't want to be.
Look at the name. Look at the name. See, it says Dr. Evil. This is the one that did not pronounce it that way. I just
feel like Roscoe's is gonna get like. Do they really want their brand to be tied to a man who robbed them of chicken without a mask? So it took extra syrup. So,
do you think he put the syrup on the chicken? Added insult to robbery.
He's like yo. I'll make sure this is soaked up. You know, like, it's crazy to me. Yeah, this is crazy time. So yeah, that's the COVID. So I want to give another little story, a little more. This is also a future story as well, to show how far science can go if you have the resources. It can change people's lives, literally. So I want to show this story as well. It's a trigger warning for people. If you're not used to these kind of like surgery shows, then get ready for it.
Everyday tasks.
It was a good story.
That was a late trigger warning.
Learn to squeeze, lift some weights, do a lot of cardio, walking, squats. A lot of fine motor stuff.
Yeah, it's not the world's best squat.
DeMeo was badly burned in a car crash in 2018. He spent months in a medically induced coma and underwent 20 reconstructive surgeries. But he wasn't able to regain the full use of his hands or his vision.
They had to amputate the tips of my fingers, and my face was burned. and I had like little slits in my eyes, so it was like looking through like a chain fence.
A
Holy
team led by
crap.
Dr. Eduardo Rodriguez at NYU Langone Health started preparing for a rare
Got
face
an
and
army
double
of
hand
doctors.
transplant. Doctors estimated they had a 6% chance
The
of
army
finding a
of doctors
match.
in there, yo.
They also wanted the same gender and skin tone. The pandemic created additional challenges. Organ donations had dropped and medical staff was diverted to work in COVID-19 wards. But in August, the team found their match.
There's a lot of pride that goes into this because we accomplished all of this on what anybody from the outside would consider
It's sad
strange.
because when you find your
Simultaneous
match, that means
hand-face
someone else
transplants
died.
have only
Yeah.
been tried twice before. The last one was in 2011 on a woman who was mauled by a chimpanzee. But the transplanted hands ultimately had to be removed.
Open your eyes real wide, close real tight.
The medical community has been watching DeMayo's case closely.
This already is a success. The fact that patient 6 months later is starting to use the hands and is doing well is tremendous
That's
success
incredible.
and first of its kind in history.
Is that different to your left hand? No, I feel this side.
DeMayo's surgery lasted 23 hours, and after months of intensive rehabilitation, he's slowly gaining his independence.
That's perfect. That's a good grip.
I have a lot of motivation, a lot of patience, and you gotta stay strong to everything. You can't really give up.
Now, eventually, I've been noticing in all pictures that the swelling continues to come down. Eventually, I want to do a little bit of work here.
His doctors have been encouraged by his progress. The 22-year-old will need to be closely monitored and on medications for the rest of his life to avoid rejecting his new face and hands.
It's not that someone
Well-
has done this many times before and we have a
Wow.
kind of a schedule, a recipe to follow.
As for DeMayo, each little movement shows how far he's come. Kathy Young, Associated Press.
So that story just shows you
That's-
just how
Oof.
far science has gone, how far like this the will of people, people.
Yeah, the will of people is right, man.
Yeah, so
How many people would just give up at that point?
So it's just like just giving context of stories where I know everyone's struggling with science right now when it comes to like trying to figure out if the vaccine is good, if the strain is going to make the vaccine less efficient, if it's like, if you have to wear 5 masks now, if you have to sanitize your ears, like the story's always changing ever so slightly every day. But, that's because we have so much brilliant people that hopefully that we empower to talk about it now more than we did before. And it shows you that when you have people who are focused on something, they can accomplish amazing things in science. They did
Yeah.
that in the middle of a pandemic too. So, which is crazy.
And they were all wearing masks.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So,
There was
So
no
that's-
chicken to be found.
yeah,
But-
no chicken,
There was no chicken to be found, but there were a lot of masks.
or waffles, or butter,
There's no syrup,
So
only faces and hands.
faces and hands. So that's some future stuff. Follow Black Power Magic Hour on Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch. We're all up in there, and YouTube. On act.tv, we have about to have 47,000 subscribers, and then follow Dr. Genius on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And that's some future stuff. So hopefully you feel really happy for the future until we show more robot dogs with their arms picking stuff up and picking bones up and digging
And
graves.
tearing off the faces and fingertips of people.
The robot dogs.
Yeah.
Dog. Yeah. So
Where my dog's at?
woof, woof, woof. Oh,